So, welcome back to the next episode of the Dental Implant Podcast. Now, look how crazy this is, right? Is I've not recorded for ages, and now I'm recording 2 podcasts in the same day. See, I am committed to this. Okay? So, what we're going to be discussing now is women in implant dentistry, okay? And you're going to be looking at me going, Pat, really? Seriously? Well, I'm pleased to tell you, I'm not going to be talking about it. I have my colleague Jess here, Jess Maguire, who is going to be talking about her journey through implants. And we're going to swap places in a second because she's literally in the same room. So yeah, let's get started. Let's see if we can answer some of your questions. Right.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
all right, Jess, how's your day?
Good.
Well, it's just basically a story that we're telling. So kind of like tell me what got you into implants, how easy you found it, because without divulging too much information, I don't want to. You do have a young kid as well, so it's kind of like how you managed to fit your career progression around having a family as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what people mostly be interested in. So, just talk to me, tell me a little bit about.
So my sort of journey into implant dentistry is probably how most people's would be, is that I signed myself up for a year-long course, got as much experience as I could. So getting onto the courses and doing that kind of thing wasn't difficult at all. There's so many different things out there. But then after that, I didn't manage to get a mentor, and sort of my principal wasn't very receptive to helping me and that kind of thing. So then I sort of lost confidence a little bit. And then from there, I still knew implants was what I wanted to do. So I love surgery. And
good on you. I like the commitment.
I just knew that's what I wanted to do. Nothing else excited me very much. And so then I heard about Evo Dental and used to come and observe until I think I drove them a little bit mad. And they then said that there was a position available to apply for. And I was like, yes, please. And so luckily I then got that position, starting on kind of a training pathway. And I think being in sort of a very sort of supportive environment, having that team atmosphere definitely helped. So yes, so then my journey with Evo was going very well. And then I fell pregnant just before in the middle of the pandemic. And so my career then got halted for a year. And so actually during that time, while I was off on maternity leave, initially I was thinking, okay, I'll definitely come back to work and I'll be really eager to come back to work. But then after I had the baby and after time went on, I was kind of thinking, oh, can I do this? Can I leave him? Can I come back? But actually then as he got bigger, I realized, no, I do need to do something for me. And it was something that I was so passionate about, and I'd already put in so much time and effort that I was like, no, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see how I feel. And it is difficult. It is difficult, I think, for women to have to make that choice. And I know men do it too, definitely. But there's something biological, I think, that goes on that makes it kind of...
Jess, I completely agree with you on that because, my daughter's just a couple of months younger than what yours is. But for me, it was dead easy. It's just like she's with her mum. It's easy. I just go straight to work. So, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you and chat to you about this, is because this is the type of stuff that people listening will want to understand and want to know about.
Yeah.
So actually you highlighting the fact that it was a difficult decision for you is actually really good. So when you decided to come back, how did it feel when you came back?
So I was lucky because of working here that it was actually a very flexible, very supportive journey back. So I just started with 1 day a week, just doing consults, because actually the other thing that I didn't realize would happen that can happen is my confidence took a huge knock. And I think partly because I'd been out of it for a year. I've never been out of dentistry for a year. And also just because I thought everyone else has progressed, the systems had changed, things had happened. And so even just treatment planning, I felt like, oh, I'm not sure what decision to make. And so, yeah, I definitely went through a bit of a sort of crisis of confidence. And also, I guess, compounded by you've got a lot going on in your head at the same time. So you're worrying about what's happening at home. Are they okay? Should you be with them? So you've got that guilt, you've got that sort of juggling act. But as time went on, because I had that kind of flexible intro back into it, now he's very settled. with his childcare. And I love my days here, and really I actually feel quite empowered by the fact that I have come back, but I still know that he's being well looked after. But I'm also very lucky that I work part-time. So not everyone maybe has that option. So that definitely, all those things combined have definitely, working at Evo has definitely made it an easier transition back. And my thought process going forward is that actually it can be a very flexible career for women in implant dentistry, because you can do little bits of work here and there. You can do, you can be a visiting implant dentist, or you can just decide to do dentistry 2 days a week. There's definitely really great opportunities, and actually a real need, I think, for women to get involved more in implants. I have had some interesting situations as a woman in implants. For example, when I work here, we have a lot of dentists who come to observe for the day and see how we do things. And I've had at least, I would say, 3 or 4 times when I've kind of talked the dentist, always a male, through the scan and explained what the surgical plan was for that day, and went through any questions that they may have, only to be then asked, so how long have you been a nurse at Evo?
Oh,
I'm just
Jess, I genuinely had no idea, really.
Yeah. And so they don't mean it, but it's just an interesting where the mindset still is with where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so I just politely, obviously, explained that I am actually one of the clinicians.
I mean, absolutely, it's male dominated. Okay, I get that, I understand that. I think the reason why I wanted to chat to you is obviously to talk about your career progression. So again, we've been working together 2-3 days a week for the last year and a half, and I didn't. This is the first time I realised half the things that you've mentioned, like how difficult some of these decisions were for you. On the other side as well, Jess, is I've seen you progress, because I've been mentoring you now for about a year as well, and I've seen you progress as well. So have you noticed your confidence increasing? Because let's disclose today is you made me feel completely redundant because you did the dual arch surgery completely by yourself. Okay?
Definitely.
And I was like, fine, I'll go home, I'll just go sit in the corner, okay? And I looked at it, and it was superb surgery. So have you noticed your confidence level improving?
Yeah, and I think, yes, definitely. So I think as well, because I've had someone there, so yourself and Rudy, to help me on this journey has definitely meant that my confidence has slowly come back more and more and more, but also increased from where I was pre-maternity leave. But also I think another thing that kind of is just overriding, and I feel like this is potentially for a lot of women with and without families, but it's that you feel like you want to push yourself that extra mile, because we do feel potentially a little bit like we have something to prove, or that we need to prove ourselves more, if you like. So I definitely feel much more confident now because of the support that I've received. And I think for anyone across the board, men, women, having some kind of mentor, having that support on your implant journey is key.
Yeah.
Without it, you can get somewhere, but you're potentially going to really struggle and have a lot of failures and a lot of stress along the way, which could have been avoided. So I think having that and having the support here has been, valuable.
Mentoring is something that I've mentioned on this podcast a number of times. You need to have the right mentor. They need to be good at what they do. You've obviously kindly mentioned myself and Rudy, but that's because we're based in Heathrow, right? Is in the clinic in Liverpool, we've got the Queen herself, we've got Isabella. Yes. On average, it takes her 2 to 2.5 hours to do a dual arch. 10 implants in 2.5 hours. The quality of her work is just incredible. And she's so approachable that I think what I'm trying to get across is, everybody has to have mentors.
Yes.
And I think for me as well, Isabella's a mentor, because I can go to her and ask her anything. Rudy's a mentor. Even you and I bounce ideas off each other sometimes.
It's teamwork.
I think what is, from my perspective, is if anybody approached me to be a mentor for them, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Whether the person approaching me was male or female, wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
But would I be right in thinking that maybe sometimes a woman mentor? Are there enough women mentors out there? Is that, I guess,
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Would it bother me? No, I don't think so. It's more about the person with the right attitude and the right personality that isn't going to make you feel stupid, but it's still going to give you enough exposure.
Yeah.
And obviously, I also work external from Evo, placing single implants, and that journey is totally different. Again, anyone who thinks, oh well, I place singles, which means I can do full arch, or vice versa. It's a totally different ball game in a way. And so even from that perspective, it's really nice that I can do sort of ad hoc days in another practice to be able to kind of build my skills in singles as well as in full arch. But there will be situations, I would say for me, still in singles, the more complex sort of anterior aesthetic zone cases, where I would still want a mentor to just be checking and making sure that I'm, treatment planning correctly, etc. So I feel like for everybody, it's a continuous journey, and that you'll always need to learn. And it's just about deciding if you're willing to kind of put all your energy and focus into learning, and if you're okay with juggling things at the same time, because it can be a juggle depending on what your circumstances are.
Yeah.
But it can be such a worthwhile career, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any advice for any women considering getting into implant dentistry, or in the early stages of their career, or wanting to progress? Anything you'd like to express to them?
So I would say, if you have an interest in surgery and an interest in sort of or have sort of some restorative, you need restorative knowledge as well as surgical knowledge, absolutely. But if you're remotely interested, get as much experience as possible and just go for it, because actually there's always a way of figuring it out later. There'll always be a way of, okay, our timeline maybe will be slightly slower in terms of progression, but it doesn't mean you can't get there. So my advice would be, if you're remotely interested, go for it, get yourself onto some courses, come and observe, lots of different dentists doing as many different things as you can, and then go from there. Get yourself a good support network, and anyone can do it.
I mean, one of the things that one of my bugbears discussed a number of times is people selling courses and making implant dentistry sound too easy, a little bit too cookbook. It's oh, you know what? Do everything guided. It takes the headache out of it. It's really not that straightforward. And the other thing that I'm really passionate on, and what I believe, and something that I've expressed several times before, is a lot of people think having a mentor is too expensive. Right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, a good mentor, you're going to pay them serious money. Okay. If you don't do that, you end up having mistake after mistake, ones that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to either pay for it out of your own back pocket, which ends up being just as expensive, or the patient ends up unhappy and they end up going down the legal route.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, and please let me know if you disagree with this, having a good mentor is absolutely critical, because you don't know what you don't know. And a good mentor is there to turn around and say to you, don't do it this way. How many times have we been in surgery? It's just like, change your angulation just a little bit, and it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah. And not only that, like, if people are looking at implant dentistry and thinking, oh, this is a way to make, lots of money really fast, as in also not the right way to look at it, because you've got to seriously invest in yourself at the beginning. You've got to take that into account too with everything that goes on in your life, because you've got to invest in the equipment, you've got to invest in the mentor, and you've got to expect to actually not make much at all at the beginning, because you just want to get that sort of expertise, that practice, that experience is almost invaluable. You've got to kind of be willing to not make anything. And then as you slowly grow in confidence, then, okay, yeah, it can be, it can be good in terms of part-time work and still earning well to be able to support yourself. So yeah, I think it's not a quick buck situation.
Good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jess.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Enlightening for those listening. And I will record a new podcast soon. I promise. I've got loads of ideas. Until next time, Titani nerds, keep learning, and I will speak to you soon. And if you have any more topics you want me to cover, please do let me know. If you want to come and watch at one of our Evo clinics, either Liverpool, Solihull, or visit us down in Heathrow, please do let us know. We can easily arrange that for you. If you go to evodental.com, there is, I think there's a page on there somewhere where you can apply for your Evo experience. I'm having a chat with my mentor later on this evening as well. The learning never stops. It just doesn't stop. So keep learning, folks, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.